Welcome! Today I have a Nokia 2.4 and I'll go over unboxing and quick overview of this phone. So let's pop it open. Now the packaging is nothing really special right here. Screams budget, which is kind of a good thing considering this phone is marketed as a budget device. So let's just pop it out of here. Now I did already set it up, and it has a protection glass on here which normally doesn't come with it, so just bear that in mind. There's the phone. Now inside of here we got nothing here apart from, well, the SIM eject tool, and then in here we got a charger. It looks like a really cheap charger. Let's see, this is a 5-watt charger. Oh boy, this is atrocious. There is no words for how bad this charger is. The only way I can describe it is by years, which is about 10 plus years of charging technology just went to trash, because 5 watts is basically the same speed that your computer can charge your phone with through just a simple USB. Meaning that you don't even need a brick for this. You can just slap it into your USB port on your laptop or anything and it will charge as quick as this brick, making it virtually useless. And then in here we got another glorious piece, which is a Type A to micro USB cable. Now, oh boy, that just... I don't care that this phone is budget. Honestly, this makes it so much worse. I was gonna say that this is a good device, but with the charging cable and the charger, like, what is this? Micro USB, come on. I feel like I just went back in time to like early 2010. So that's basically all we have of, well, disappointment in this box. So let's move to the phone itself, which the phone is maybe a little bit less disappointing than the accessories that I guess it comes with. So let me max it out in brightness. So straight off, we have a 6.5 inch display, 720 by 1600 resolution, nothing outstanding here. LCD IPS, you shouldn't expect anything better here, obviously. And it has about 80.6% screen to body ratio, making it really okay. Obviously you can see that there is a quite significant chin at the bottom, and they also squeezed their Nokia logo on here. If I can get it in the light, there we go. So you get the logo in here and that chin. But outside of that, the display is, I would say, fine, with a fairly thick glass protecting it. Like I have one right over here, which you can kind of see. For instance, like right over here, it does pose a little bit of a challenge where the display just kind of is not really responsive all the time. For instance, like the back gestures, it kind of doesn't sometimes know that I'm trying to go back. It thinks I'm trying just to swipe up, so it creates a little bit of a problem here. But other than that, the display itself is good. Just don't apply any kind of thick protection like I have one right here. Now in terms of cameras, again, don't expect anything outstanding. This is a phone for about $100 or so just keep that in mind. And the cameras, we have two at the back. So we have a 13 megapixel sensor and a 2 megapixel depth sensor. Now, the depth one, I presume it's gonna be just utter garbage and shouldn't be probably used for any reason, but I'm gonna test it out. Maybe Nokia did some kind of magic here and it actually works respectively, but I wouldn't hold my breath on that one. So let's get it in here. We have the photo mode right here. So this is one that supposedly shouldn't use the portrait, or well, the macro. Oh, wait, what am I saying about macro? Meant the depth sensor. Geez. Now this one will use it. So let's go next. Oh yeah, it's giving me already this nice guide on how the blur can work. And what? No. Seriously? So apparently you can set some kind of effect to just lights to it, well, lights in the background, which would be blurred, making it a little bit wonky, I would say. But anyway, let's test the portrait mode. There we go. So the reason I'm testing portrait mode is because this mode primarily uses the depth sensor, and most of the time portrait mode, if it's using it, which this one, I'm not exactly sure if this one is actually using a depth sensor. The photo looks a little bit too good for that. Let me quickly go between those two. Yeah, I don't think it is using it. Yeah, I don't believe it is using it for the portrait for some reason. Maybe it didn't need to use it or something. I don't know. But yeah, it looks like in here the phone just doesn't use it flat out in portrait, which is usually where you would get that blur effect. Now, just as an example, if it would be using it, which is fairly obvious on budget devices, that is because if it uses it, if you zoom into like a photo, for instance this one, right, and you have these pine needles in the back, right? If the depth sensor is being used, these pine needles have literally like a ring around them, like a halo effect almost, where it's a distinctive jump from something being in focus to something being blurred as background. So in here, this is just natural blur, which done by the camera itself without kind of like any AI stuff and stuff like that, meaning that the depth sensor is not being used at this moment, at least not for this photo. And you can also see it that it looks basically exactly the same as this one, which this is the normal photo mode, which uses only the single sensor, or supposed to use, and the effect is exactly the same, with maybe just a difference that this one is closer to the subject while this one was further. But that is just how I captured the photo. Other than that, honestly the photos aren't that bad. They are a little bit too sharp, artificially sharpened, but it is, I would say, acceptable. If you need to capture photos with this, it will do a decent enough job, I would say, which is actually a little bit of a surprise. Now, like I said, it's not really using the depth sensor here for portrait, which is a really good thing. I'm not complaining about that. That is better than if it would be using it, because majority of the times the depth sensor, especially at 2 megapixels, is just garbage. It has no reason to be there. It is only there to make the phone look a little bit better, because if you flip it over and you see, oh, we got 2 sensors instead of 1, it must be better than 1, right? Let's be honest, it's not the case. That's why the manufacturers drop those useless sensors. Macro and depth sensor at 2 megapixels are just complete garbage, and they don't count for anything. So in here, even though we do have this garbage sensor, it's not being used, thankfully. So yeah. Now at the front, in this teardrop notch, as you can see right here, obviously, we have a 5 megapixel sensor. So let's just actually open up the camera and see how it performs. Nope, that's not what I wanted. So there we go, there is the, that's looking really weird. So, can I zoom in? Thank you. So, right off the bat I see a ridiculous amount of smoothing, which either can be caused by the fact that this is a 5 megapixel selfie, or because I have no clue. But yeah, if you zoom in, you can just see there's literally no detail in the skin. Hair kind of becomes almost a blurry mess, kind of like a mush of nothingness. I'm actually surprised that it dealt with the light in the background okayishly. It's not the worst job, but overall the photo is just a little bit too soft all around, almost everywhere, which makes it look a little bit weird and unnatural, at least in my perspective. But yeah. Now that being said, let's move on to the last part, which will be just the pure specifications of this phone. And right off the bat we have a Helio P22 in here, so fairly budget processor, basically I think as budget as you can get. You have two different variants of this phone, which I do recommend you to go for the higher one. It's gonna save you a little bit of a headache later on. So we have the 32GB with 2GB of RAM and 64GB storage with 3GB of RAM. Now the reason why I advise you to go for the more expensive one is because it comes with more RAM, and this phone already comes with a really outdated amount of RAM. Like 2GB is just, I would say, in 2021 basically unacceptable. That's kind of when I'm recording this, so yeah. That's why I do advise you to go for the 3GB RAM, and just don't do it to yourself. It's not gonna be worth it in the long run to try to scamp a little bit, like what is it gonna be, 10-20 bucks on it, just to have the lower spec one because it's cheaper. Going a little bit higher will save you a lot of headache here. So yeah. Now the one that I have right here, let's see, it's probably gonna be the cheaper one, I assume. So don't take that's why I'm basically also gonna say don't take this one, because it's already performing a little bit not good, what I would call. I don't really see it. Let's see. I'm gonna go into these settings. Let's go to storage. Yeah, so this is the 32GB. So this is gonna be the worst one. So overall, the storage itself won't really matter at the end of the day. 32 or 64 is, I would say, low amount, but you do have the option to expand it via an SD card. But what you cannot expect or expand via SD card is the RAM. And if you go with the 2.1, I believe once you start like installing apps on it, this will just start working really badly. So do yourself a favor and go with the 3 gigs. Now, apart from that, we do also have a 4500 mAh battery. So it's a fairly decent sized battery in here. Should also last a decent amount of time, considering this is a fairly low resolution display. And the specs on this phone don't scream high quality, meaning that with the specs that it comes with, they won't be consuming as much battery because they're not as powerful. So the battery will last you longer than, for instance, same kind of battery on a flagship device. So it has a little bit of advantage here. And additionally, it comes with a headphone jack, which you can see at the top. We have a micro USB at the bottom, which I don't really accept. It is really outdated. It shouldn't even be here, especially considering this phone was released in 2020. And the honorable mentions of what it's missing, in my opinion, is an NFC. So if you're wondering what is NFC, it allows you to basically pay with the phone, and this would have been a really nice touch on here. It doesn't really cost that much, so I would assume to include it. Majority of the phones do have it, and adds a little bit more versatility, but not on here. So yeah, at the end of the day, this is really budget phone, and if you need one, then I do have to say it's an okay phone for about 100 bucks. If you can get it for 100, yeah, then go ahead. Other alternatives at this price range, I know Huawei has some, but it's Huawei. This is not. So it adds a little bit of a benefit to the fact that you actually have Play Store on here. And honestly, it works okay enough if you're really struggling with money and want to get basically the lowest spec, or well, the lowest priced phone that is still, I would say, fairly capable. It does provide you with basically a usable smartphone, which sometimes just because something is a smartphone isn't necessarily usable. But here we do have a good camera, a fairly responsive software. It might lag a little bit, but you shouldn't expect flagship performance from a phone that costs 100 bucks. And for 100 bucks, I do have to say, it works well. I don't have any problem with it. And yeah, I would recommend it if you're looking for one. But that being said, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.